Hello. Yeah. On another walkie-talkie walk. Because if I was sat down, it would be a city talkie. No, that doesn't work. Anyway, here we are. It's a Tuesday. And so far the weather's holding, so let's do it. I'm just hoping that at the park today we don't have hopefully we don't have somebody who's clearly ill coughing his guts up everywhere. That'd be nice. Whoa, off they go. 2 squirrels, giving it plenty. Crazy fellas. Nutty as squirrel shit. Anyway, yeah, and hopefully the weather will hold. Mind you, I did get a fairly decent walk yesterday. Got my nose is running again. It's not exactly bitingly cold. It's a bit breezy. But in any event, yeah. I did manage to get home okay yesterday. Got home and I was still dry. Pretty much the rain held off for about 10 minutes after I got in, and then it started to come down quite a bit. So I was lucky I timed that just right. If I'd have stayed out a little bit longer, I'd have got caught in the deluge. What I had to do, you see, was I had to get some stuff from the shops on the way in, and I couldn't just go straight home. If I'd have done that, I would have missed it altogether. Yeah, we'll just hopefully it'll hold off, and that'll be that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this walk as the spring and summer come along. It'd be just interesting to see, compare and contrast, the lighting. Obviously there's quite a few evergreens around here, as you can see, but it'd be interesting to see the other stuff coming to life, the deciduous trees like this one here, that there, coming to life. It'd be just nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to coming out and there being a little bit of warmth as well. I come out in my t-shirt. What are we doing, Nutter? So yeah, just looking forward to that. Oh, he's off. He's gone. So yeah, looking forward to that. That should be nice. Interesting to see. But anyway, alright, I'll see you in the park. I'll see you in the park. Alright, here we are. In the park. Well, there's no can't see any truck here today. I can hear a power tool, but it ain't on here. It's probably in and around the allotment, but we can deal with that. So, what we're going to talk about, I've only touched upon it in a few videos, but I thought I would talk today about my memories of playing multiplayer in games. It's not something I do an awful lot of, to be honest. I'm not big into multiplayer. I prefer single player experiences, to be honest. I think the issue playing with other people, especially online, is how often you end up playing against people who, well, they're just annoying. You know, they're not the kind of people I would play games with. You know, you get some properly weird behaviour, shall we say. I've already touched upon the fact that, you know, people, I think, some people take it far too seriously. I talked about that in a previous video where I was saying that I think that stems from a lot of the game publishers and what have you showcasing multiplayer stuff at E3 and having people playing a game from what their marketers thought people played like. Too serious. And when you've got, you know, the kids on stage talking and acting like they're part of a trying to, you know, play soldier, acting like they're part of a combat unit, when, you know, hilariously they're not. Not only did it come over as quite embarrassing, but, you know, you kind of imprints on people as to thinking, oh, that must be the way to do it. No, it wasn't. And before I got the Xbox 360, I'd only ever very briefly played online with Half-Life 2, the deathmatch, Half-Life 2 deathmatch. And it was okay. I only played it very briefly just to see what it was like, but I didn't have a particularly good connection. It was a bit naff in terms of that, and I was just like, yeah, you know what? It's not really doing anything for me, this. And just went back to playing Half-Life 2. Before that, multiplayer had been where you sat next to somebody. I got a lot of fun memories playing Mortal Kombat. Now, I'm rubbish at fighting games, but we had a laugh playing the Mortal Kombat 1, 2 and 3. We played 1 and 2 on the Mega Drive, Mortal Kombat 3 on the PlayStation. And I had some fun playing that. It was a decent laugh. Going from that, going from that and then going on to the online multiplayer was quite a quantum leap. Without doubt, one of the most hilarious experiences I had playing multiplayer was on the Mega Drive, or the Genesis if you're in the United States. And it was Micro Machines 2, where you had the cartridge with the additional joypad ports, and you could have it play it with players sharing a singular joypad as well. And that was hilarious. You could have up to 8 players playing using 4 controllers. So you can imagine that opened up the avenue of quite a bit of hilarity, really, to be honest with you. We had quite a bit of fun playing that. You know, that game was just insane. And particularly sort of like at the sort of age of 18, 19, 20 years of age, playing that online, probably a little bit inebriated as well at the same time. Well, not online, but multiplayer, should I say. Probably a little bit inebriated too. And it was great fun. I had a good laugh playing it. Going into the sort of the PlayStation era, yeah, the original PlayStation, it was Mortal Kombat 3, playing that locally with my friends, and again, having quite a lot of fun. Really, really enjoying it. Having a good laugh. But single player always dominated. And so the multiplayer element, really, it was just something you did. If you'd been out, had a few drinks, or you were at loose end, you'd be round at somebody's house and you'd just stick a game in and, oh bird, stick a game in and off you go. It was fun. I remember when I got the Xbox 360 for a little while, I didn't have it connected online. We'd only just got broadband at home, and I just then created an Xbox Live account and connected online, and thought, well, let's have a go. Let's see what all the fuss is. I've got a games console. It's now connected online. We'll give it a whirl. So I got the Xbox Live membership. I don't know if it was gold membership then, or whether it was just Xbox Live membership. I don't seemingly recall there being different tiers to it, but I might be mistaken. It was so long ago now. But anyway, I connected it up. I thought I'd test it out, and I think it was a sort of motorcycle racing game. I don't know whether it was a MotoGP game, but it was a motorcycle racing game that was out on the 360. It was actually quite good, and I tried that online against total strangers, because I didn't really know anybody at that point that was playing online on the 360. I was one of the first people to get it, and it wasn't easy to get hold of in the early days. So I had a few races. I thought, well, actually it works. It worked quite well. It was quite smooth. And I was impressed. Well, I'll have a bit of fun with this. So I had also gotten Call of Duty 2 at the time, but at that point I'd found a website that catered for, was more targeted for the older gamers, people of my age and upwards, which was what I was looking for, because, when was it? To be 2005, 2006. I think it was 2006, because the Xbox came out in 2005, and I didn't go online until early 2006 with it. Or did I go online in 2005 and just didn't play on it? Anyway, I can't remember. It was very early on in the cycle of me owning the console anyway. I hadn't had it very long, if at all. In fact, I think because my original 360 got the red rings of death on Christmas Day in 2005, I'd only had it for a week or so when that happened. I think I signed up when I got the replacement console. I think I was right, because so that would have been probably early 2006, because it was a couple of week turnaround on the console. It was, from me sending it off to getting, well, I'll say it was a replacement because I can't for a moment believe that they fixed it and sent it back in that time. So yeah, I would say that it was, I would say that it was 2000, January 2006, let's say, early January. Because I sent it off between Christmas and New Year. Because I remember calling them on, I think it was Boxing Day I called them. Because he carried on doing it. I tell you, the game that killed it was the King Kong game that came out, the Pete Jackson's King Kong movie tie-in game. I had the Need for Speed game at that time, and yeah, the King Kong game killed it. King Kong killed my Xbox. It just kept freezing, and then when I would reset the console, it would come up with the red rings of death. So yeah, that was a thing. So yeah, by the time I got the console back, it would have been January. Right, there we go. It probably would have been the second, third week in January. There you go. There's my detour for the day. So yeah. Anyway, I found this website. Let's go back to where I was at. I found this website, which was actually through Eurogamer. I was posting on Eurogamer, and I remember coming across this troll. This is really weirdo on there that, was going off on their head over something I'd put about, the sheer volume of cables that it would take to connect the external HD DVD player and all of this. I think I was making the point of, why didn't you just put it in the console? Obviously you would have had to pay a little bit more, but whatever, And some weirdo responded, and then this guy posted under, oh, if you're sick of responses like this, we have a community. And at that time I was thinking, oh God, what's this? But this other guy, he'd been active on the Eurogamer site, so it wasn't a bot, if they were even a thing back then. It wasn't that. So I responded. I thought, oh, okay, I'll go and check it out. And it was a really cool place. And I started to post on the forums there. And then they were having game nights, playing Call of Duty 2, which I had. And I thought, yeah, you know what, I'll check it out. Their whole function, their whole selling point for it was, we're all sort of getting on a bit and we're not very good, and we just do it for a laugh. And I thought, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I joined in playing Call of Duty 2 and never looked back for quite some time. Sadly, I don't think I know that particular website is no longer, that forum is no longer, unfortunately. But it was a great place. I actually ended up becoming an admin on that forum, and ended up doing a podcast for that forum. That was my first foray into the podcasting world as a co-host. Yeah, it was great. But I think just sadly all sort of things came to an end. But it was a really good place. I mean, it was on that site all the time. Got a lot of tips for games to get. And it was a great community. It really was. We all had a laugh. especially when we were playing online, and we did that for quite a few years. But those early Call of Duty 2 nights were great, and for a brief period of time, coming in from work, I'd have my food, for my dinner, my tea, and then I would then get on there, and play through to quite late, go to bed, get up, work, home, rinse and repeat. That was what I was doing, and actually at that time, I think I played less of the single player. In fact, I was playing single player while waiting for the multiplayer sessions to kick off. So, I'd gone from this sort of brief period of time, I'd gone from being, primarily single player only to playing multiplayer. And, when new games come out, I remember when the original Gears come out, we had a lot of fun with that. And it was good. It was good. And it was only a couple of 3 years, I think. But then I think, like everything else, life catches up with you. People start to drift away. Some guys, they either were starting families or they had families. And the demands of that life meant that they couldn't play as much as they were, and just people drifted away, started up separate communities, things became a bit fragmented, and then that was it. It was gone, it was over, it was done. So yeah, we just ended up changing it all up. I think it went on for a little while. It sort of went on for a bit, and then it just wrapped up. It costs money to keep these places going, so I think the decision was made just to wrap it up because there wasn't much activity on there. I mean, it used to be quite busy at one point, and with that, before the place shut down, there were less and less people playing online. And as I say, I think it was just more games come out. The PlayStation 3 came out, and so people wanted to play on that. Some people didn't have it, they didn't want it, or they didn't want to play online on that because it wasn't a particularly great experience playing online on the PS3 because there was no party chat back then. So, some people did because naturally they've just got the console. They want to play games on it. That's just a normal, natural thing. So it just became kind of diluted. And on top of that, you've got new games coming out that people wanted to play. Some people wanted to keep playing the stuff we were having fun with. I told you about the Forza 2 sessions on there, which were absolutely hilarious. We had football, like a knockout football competition with Pro Evolution Soccer on there, back when that was good. We just had quite a bit of fun. Just noticing, actually, it's getting quite dark. This isn't looking promising weather-wise, is it? You won't notice it as much on the camera because it has a low light function, but yeah, it has notably gone quite a lot darker as I've been walking around here. Anyway, we'll keep on. Yeah, as I say, and you couldn't really get enough players into sessions to make it worthwhile, and that was pretty much it. At that point, I just started to play online a lot less myself. I wasn't interested in playing online with randoms, with strangers. It wasn't any fun. I say you get people coming on there who were acting weird, not being particularly nice or friendly, and so I just stopped playing online. Went back to single player. I did dally briefly with World of Warcraft. I enjoyed that a bit, but then again, it was a game that it kind of got frustrating in parts because you'd be trying to do a particular quest. Somebody else will have been there just before you because it's always online, and they would complete the quest, and you had to wait around for the game to reset so you could do it, and it just got boring. I didn't have the time to dedicate to it, and I just found it a little bit tedious, and having to pay use a subscription model for this thing was frustrating as well, because you don't always want to play on a particular game, but at the back of your mind you're thinking, well, I've paid like a 3-month subscription for it and I'm not really playing on it. It's a waste of money. So when that lapsed, I just didn't bother renewing it. I much preferred the single player offline RPGs of the Elder Scrolls. When I'm doing a quest, I want to be doing the quest, not waiting around for somebody else. And so that was it. I ended up really just sort of pretty much walking away from playing online, and it's essentially been like that ever since. I've no interest in it. I've no interest now. I much prefer single player experiences. It's where I cut my teeth. It's where the vast majority of my gaming experiences have been. It frustrates the hell out of me when companies don't do proper single player games. Some cases it's an afterthought. That became a bit of a frustration of mine with Call of Duty, the earlier games. I've just said, Call of Duty 2, brilliant multiplayer, a lot of fun. But the single player was very comprehensive. It was good. The single player was excellent. And then they started to cut it down and down and down because, they just wanted people to buy the DLC, microtransactions and map packs that all were exclusively tied to the multiplayer element. They weren't coming out with campaigns for the single player. So, with the actual game itself, the actual Call of Duty game itself, I started to drift away from it. When you're just getting a 4-hour campaign and it's very much an afterthought. And I think in the case of Black Ops 3, I think it was Black Ops 3, they dropped the single player campaign altogether. So I never got it. But the more recent ones I've just not bothered with. And the last one was the remake of Modern Warfare. Not the remake of the 2007. The other one. They did another one called Modern Warfare. I think it wasn't a remake, it was a reboot. That's the last one I got. That was pretty decent. Single player is really good in that. But the only time I would even go anywhere near would be the offline bots. So you're just essentially playing the multiplayer, but with bots. you could have a bit of fun with that, but that was it. I would not go online playing against people. No chance. Absolutely no chance at all would I be doing that, because I think it's probably worse now than it was back then, and there were some proper strange people back then. Just people started to take it too seriously. That's what I was saying the other day. It was like they were practicing for a tournament. Maybe they were, but it didn't sound to me like they were having a lot of fun with it. And they were talking to people as if they were trash, you know, on their team that weren't as good as them. And I'm not having that. You know, everybody's there to have a laugh. Everybody's there to have a bit of fun. And you just get that one person, you know, thinks that you know, that they should be, or they think that they're in a real life situation, you know, that they're part of a SEAL team or the part of the SAS or something. And they're not. You know, they're just some kid behind a keyboard or behind a controller. You know, if you expect any minute to hear the parents come in and cuff them round the head and tell them to mind the language, you know, the mum will come in and tell them. That's what you kind of half expect, whether they're mouthing off, and I've no time for that. So like, we're supposed to be here to have some fun. That's what it's about. They're very, very disrespectful, as I just felt a bit of rain on my head. Wonderful. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, not too bad. One more round and then I think we'll call it, because it's gone very, very dark, isn't it? You can see the sky up there. And yeah, once again I've got to pop into the town and drop a prescription in, so it's not directly home for me. So yeah, I mean, that was it really, and I've never bothered with it since. I just don't like playing with random people online, because to my mind you just don't get that fun. And it says a lot when these companies now have put things into place to try to regulate it. I mean, God rest his soul, Steptoe, Stephen Toulouse, who was the Xbox Live enforcer from back in the day on the 360. You know, I don't know if any of you have ever listened to the Major Nelson podcast, which was excellent. So he had Larry Herb, Major Nelson, that was his online name. Steptoe, Stephen Toulouse, E, and Laura Lollipop, I think her name was. I don't know what, I think that was her online, what's it. Used to do a podcast and it was fantastic. It was great. And that sort of extended over into the sort of gaming community, because you know, Stephen Toulouse would interact a lot with the fans, and he'd interact a lot with people, and that meant you had it all had a face to it. And I think that went away. I mean, sadly he passed away, he got ill, but he'd left that position prior to that. And it was in that period of sort of going from the 360 to the Xbox One, there was a notable decline, a real notable decline. And I'm going to go back this way because it's actually starting to rain quite a bit. There was a notable decline with Xbox, not just as a product, but also in the community. And they lost a lot for me. a lot of it went away. A lot of the goodwill, a lot of that stuff went away, and nowadays it's, you know, much of it's automated. I mean, right now, I mean, here in the UK, for some weird reason, with this online safety thing, when I go on Xbox Live, they want me to provide proof of my age, which is ridiculous. I've had an Xbox Live account since 2005, so I've got to prove that I'm over 18. Well, simple maths would tell you, if I've had an Xbox Live account from 2005 and it's 2026, then I'm at least 20 years old. On top of the fact that, you know, I've paid for stuff on there using my card, but for some reason they want proof of identification. No thanks. As it proved with Discord, when Discord got hacked and that information was stolen, I'm not playing ball, so I won't be going online with it anyway. And that's aside from the fact that I'm certainly not paying the extortionate amount of money that Microsoft want you to pay for the privilege of playing their games online, which is hilarious, because you can get those games on PC and not have to pay to play online, which is kind of ridiculous. So there's no real incentive anyway. I mean, I wouldn't have been going online. Sure as hell don't play online. So there's absolutely 0 point to that to me. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Not doing it. Not doing the online gaming thing anymore. I've got loads of single player stuff to play that's far superior in my view, and a better experience as well. So yeah, it was not a long one today. I'm getting rained on though, so we will call it there, I think. But yeah, just to point out that, you know, playing online, I did it briefly, the multiplayer element, multiplayer stuff, I did it briefly, and in my view, it was probably in the best period. I have no interest in the stuff today, no interest in Fortnite, no interest in that, no interest in any of that kind of stuff, to be honest. It's for young people, they like it, that's fair enough, but it's not for me. So anyway, I'm going to flee before it really does get bad. The state of that sky, and I say, you're looking at that on the camera, you're seeing it with low light adjustment. It's a hell of a lot darker than what I'm seeing on the screen. It's at least like 20-30% darker. So, all right, we'll call it there. We'll shoot off. Get done what I need to do, and hopefully be back out tomorrow. This actually feels like it's going to be a thunderstorm, to be honest. I can feel that sort of oppression in the air, in the atmosphere. Anyway, that'll do for me. You all take care, have a good day, and I will catch you all in the next one. So I'll see you later.